Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Club podcast, where every week me and Miss Boo take turns picking films to watch and talk about. Some are good, some are bad, and some are brand new. This month in Newvember at the Film Club. So, Boo, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Are you excited about your film that you brought today?
I was really excited last week when I thought Jerry the Mouse was in it, and how
heartbroken were you when you didn't see Jerry?
I was fucking soul crushed. I was so angry. Then I watched the movie, and no, this is actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It's actually a really good movie. It's got some issues, but the last 20 minutes might be some of the greatest stuff ever caught on camera. And we're going to get to that.
Yeah. So where would you like to start?
Well, I guess I'll tell everybody. The movie we're watching is An American in Paris, starring Gene Kelly, Oscar Levant, Georges Guattari, and Leslie Caron.
Yeah.
There's a lot of French names in this. I'm sorry. But, yeah, it's a musical. It's from 1951. This movie was fucking huge when it came out. I think this was one of Gene Kelly's biggest hits.
It was his favorite musical.
It was?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought Singing in the Rain would have won.
That's what I would have thought, but no, this was actually his favorite musicals of his.
Nice. This is also the first Gene Kelly film I have watched as an adult.
Interesting.
Yeah, technically I've seen Singing in the Rain when I was a kid, but I have zero memory of it. I actually could not tell you what Singing in the Rain was about, gun to my head.
And we're going to have to watch Singing in the Rain sometime because that's a really great movie. I think you would really enjoy it.
Well, it is on the AFI 100, which I am going through with my brother on the Film Odyssey. Mm-hmm. You are more than welcome to show up and guest on that one if you want to.
Maybe I will. And, you know, American in Paris is also directed by Vincent Minnelli, who is Judy Garland's husband at one point and Liza Minnelli's father. Yep. And an interesting little fact before we get into the episode, Vincent Minnelli was actually going through his divorce with Judy Garland during the making of this movie.
Really?
So for some parts of the movie, Gene Kelly actually stepped in as the director to help direct some of the scenes. So he not only choreographed, starred, but directed in this movie.
Yeah, well, he was instrumental in huge sections of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I feel like even if Minnelli was there every day, Gene Kelly probably ran all the dance and singing numbers, because he was kind of like Fred Astaire in that way, where he was super particular, kind of perfectionist about his performance and dancing and all that stuff.
They did want to have Fred Astaire for this movie, but Fred Astaire really wasn't, he really wasn't strong in ballet. I don't know if it was ballet or it was tap.
Oh, it's got to be ballet, because he's a great tap dancer.
So, it must have been ballet.
Also, the thing is, I think Fred Astaire at that point would have been in, his mid-50s? He'd probably been way too old to have been in this movie as a young GI.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but they did want him initially, and they were kind of like, well, you know, Gene Kelly really is more fixed for this kind of dancing, so let's run with that. He does a great job.
Oh my god, this movie is a spectacle for Gene Kelly. And it really shows off in the beginning of the movie. Because he wakes up, he's getting his stuff together, and he's just going around like a ballet dancer. And I never really knew this about Gene Kelly. I knew, okay, he's the song and dance guy from old movies from the 50s, right?
Yeah.
But that motherfucker is graceful.
Yeah.
He is so graceful.
His dining room, and he's just, opening a door.
Door, kicking things off with the other foot, flipping chairs out. And he's doing 6 different things at once with each and every limb of his body just moving around this. And it's a sight to see.
Yeah.
But then it's the rest of the movie's kind of Look, I'll be real with you. This suffers from musical plot syndrome where the plot doesn't matter. It's just an excuse for the songs to happen.
Yeah, you have your quiet bits to get you to the next song and dance number, which the dance numbers, they start, on a smaller scale and they just progress to these huge performances the more that the movie progresses. And, I love seeing how, he's just this GI who is now a painter, and his, best friends in the village are the children that come to him because he has American bubble gum.
Yeah.
And it's just seeing, how his simple, provincial life is, and, just by having someone buy his paintings just changes his world.
Yeah, and there is an interesting story here, I will say that. Because the story is told about this American GI, Jerry Mulligan. He's living in Paris, he's trying to become a painter. And while living there, he's not really making a lot of money, but he meets this socialite Milo Roberts, and she's really is only interested in him to get into his pants, and Jerry is like, no, I'm not an escort. Like, I'm a man. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And then she feels kind of bad about it, and then she like, oh, I'll pay for your art gallery and all this other stuff, but you can tell she's really doing this because she's so lonely and just wants, male companionship. And while that's going on, we have the French singer Henry Borel, and he's in this, romantic relationship with Lise Bouvier.
Lise Bouvier.
Lise Bouvier. And there's this whole thing going on where Jerry meets Lise and they kind of fall in love, but Jerry doesn't know she's with Henry, and it's become this weird love triangle thing.
And she doesn't know that he's being bankrolled by the socialite, so they come in with their secrets. And it's like they want to be together, but their secrets are really pulling them apart than bringing them closer together.
And it is an interesting love story, and it's really pretty. It's really well done. Also, the actress Leslie Caron, that's how you pronounce her name?
I believe so.
She's amazing in this. She's a professional ballet dancer before this, and this is her film debut.
And she's also very much French, so...
Very French.
She really didn't know English, so she was kind of just learning it as she went along with the movie.
Yeah, and she's, like, great in this movie. We have a whole opening sequence where Henry and their other friend Adam are talking about her, and it just flashes like, oh, she must be, real graceful, and it's her doing ballet on, like, a very abstract stage, and it's these guys picturing her in their mind.
And then Henri's like, no, but she's not, this one way, she's really deep, she likes to read, and it's
her reading a book, doing, like, pliés and splits and all that stuff.
And then he's like, oh, so she's kind of stale, but no, she could be really fun, and, dance the whole night away, so it's interesting how they just kind of have her in these different cut scenes of different personalities.
And she's a great dancer.
Yeah.
I will say this, everyone in this movie is incredibly talented.
Yes.
If there's a shortcoming here, it's just the script is a very 50s musical where, there's a thing where it's real drama could happen, but we're going to have a whole, like, song and dance number to kind of, move us along. We got, this is only a 2-hour flick.
Yeah.
And it goes. That's why we're not going to do the average plot summary we've been doing the last couple of weeks, because the plot summary would be listing the songs in this movie.
Yeah. And for this movie, they wanted an authentic French woman to be Lise, and Gene Kelly actually discovered her when he was on vacation in France. He, went to go see a show and she was there dancing, and he was like, wow, she's amazing. We got to put her in the movie. And she is amazing.
Is she your favorite actor in the movie?
No, I'd probably go with Gene Kelly.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's where we're gonna talk about this movie, right? We're gonna talk about, like, what we like and dislike.
Yeah.
So your favorite is Gene Kelly.
Yeah, because, Gene Kelly's so versatile. He's very entertaining.
Yeah, he's a very entertaining actor.
And he was, I think, 38 when they shot this movie.
Really?
Yeah, so he was still in his 30s, and he was actually 19 years older than Leslie.
Oh, really?
In this movie, so it's like there's a huge age difference, but they work together.
He does not look 38.
No, he looks very young, and they really worked well together. He's just drawn to her the first time he sees her in the club, and
You love that meet cute scene? I
loved it because she was just like, I'm not giving you the time of day, and he's just, I will just be persistent and bug you until you finally cave. And it's just like...
You're just like, man, in old 50s movies, that's the most romantic thing in the world. Modern day, now, that guy's a serial killer.
It's like, no, don't get near me.
That's the funny thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like, in context, this movie, you're like, oh, that's so romantic. Oh, man, he wants to find love so bad. And then you transpose it, like, if he did the exact same thing...
He'd be stalking her.
He'd be the villain.
Yeah.
He'd be the bad guy.
Yeah.
I just think that's funny. Like, the standards of courtship has changed so much.
Yeah. And the fact that we don't even know that he doesn't find out that he is Henri's girl till way, way late in the movie.
God, like what, the last third of the movie? That's like the third act, right?
Yeah, it's just
basically him finding out what's going on and she finding out what's going on and how she's going to go off and get married in America and she's going to leave him and it's going to be this whole sad thing.
Really? It took you that long to say, oh, by the way, my soon-to-be fiance, her name is so-and-so, because he says it to Adam in the very beginning of the movie.
And Jerry, like, misses it, right? Because
Yeah.
he walks in, like, halfway through the conversation.
Yeah, he comes in mid-scene, they start to sing and dance. I mean, their numbers together are great.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out the actor who played Henri, George Guattari? Guattari?
I'm not...
Okay, we're gonna just expose it right now. We are ignorant Americans. It is hard for us to pronounce names sometimes. Apologies all around.
Yeah.
But that motherfucker got a voice.
Yeah.
He belts, and I love that.
That, and I think he's 4 years younger than Gene Kelly.
Really?
So to make him look older than Gene Kelly, they just put, some
The
gray
up the hair.
Gray up the hair a little bit. But I'm like, yeah, he's got a lot of talent.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so your favorite's Gene Kelly.
Yeah.
I really like Gene Kelly, but my favorite, like, character in this was Adam Cook, the guy
Of course.
Oscar Levant played, because he's the cynical friend. He's kind of like, loves that, blah, blah, blah. But he's also the smartest guy in the room.
Well, he's also the child prodigy that didn't really do anything. So he's just kind of
yes.
like,
I love the fact where his opening thing, it's like, yeah, I'm a concert pianist. What that basically means is I'm unemployed. And I like that. Right?
Well, I mean, even when Gene Kelly's telling the socialite, oh, my friend, he's a concert pianist, and she's like, oh, really, where? And he's like, well, he hasn't performed at a concert yet, but that's what he tells people. So it's just kind of like this running joke that he really hasn't done anything, but he's incredibly talented.
And honestly, okay, what's your favorite scene in the movie? Before I go on, because I am curious.
I mean, the scene at the end, the ballet, where they don't speak for 20 minutes.
Is so good.
But it's really a tie-up between that and the scene with Henri, where he's performing on the stairs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you have, the chandeliers, and you have the women.
That one feels like a big, like, Hollywood number. It's called I'll Build a Stairway to Paradise.
There you go. I couldn't think of the song. I've seen bits and pieces of this movie, but it's like I don't know it well enough to know the songs and whatever. So that scene reminded me a lot of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
And you love that movie, right?
That's one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the scenes in the movie is homage to that scene. And then this scene, the stairway to
whatever,
is homage to, like, Ziegfeld Girls and Ziegfeld Follies that came out in the 40s, where it's these big, huge, ornate numbers, and the women are kind of part of the sets, and the costumes are just extreme and opulent. So it was kind of cool to see all this Hollywood history kind of come full speed in this movie.
Also, this is still, like, Golden Age Hollywood.
Yeah, and this feels like a Golden Age Hollywood movie, and it's kind of on the scale with Giant, where the world just seems gigantic.
It does. I think it's the other thing where, these movies are naturally escapist. Musicals are one of the most escapist genres in cinema. And with that Technicolor and the fact you can tell Paris is obviously a set, and you look down the street and it's obviously a big painting or a matte painting. But you kind of stop caring after a while because it's just so pretty. It's just so, like, big, wonderful. It's a really pretty movie. And also, the fact the actors are into it, it kind of feels like a Disney movie to me at certain points. It kind of feels like Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, it's not actual Paris, but...
That was a thing a lot of critics didn't like about this movie.
Yeah, but it's so romantic that it feels like the romanticized version that you have of Paris, where you're kind of seeing it with a softer lens, versus, like, I'm seeing, like, every brick and every stone. It's like, no, you're
seeing all the hits of the scenery, right? You're seeing all the tourist traps.
Yeah, it's like, no, you're kind of floating in on this love story of, these two people that want to be together so bad, but their secrets are kind of keeping them apart.
Okay, so the reason I wanted to ask you the whole favorite scene thing is because I really want to talk about the finale of this, like, so bad.
Where nobody talked.
Nobody talks for like 20 minutes. It is this long, intricate, giant, choreographed, well-produced ballet.
They go back through time through Paris.
Yeah, they travel through, like, the times of Paris, their relationship, all this stuff. It is a gorgeous number. Honestly, most of the movie, up to that point, I was like, this is fine. Like, this isn't great. This is a fine movie. I don't see why people think this is, like, one of the greatest films ever made. Mm-hmm. I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, 5, 6, whatever. And then that happens. the ballet legitimately might be one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen done on camera.
That, and they used Gershwin music in this movie, and it goes so well with the time. Just the music alone kind of, really brings it in with that finale that we get.
And I would recommend anybody, if you're going to watch this, you can watch just the ballet sequence by itself. It tells a story.
Yeah.
And it's done it tells the story of their love and romance throughout all these points of Paris. It's obviously a stage, but you don't care because the way their bodies move, the way they interact with each other, the world, it's a silent production. It's a silent film up to that point, and it's gorgeous.
And it kind of shows that
gorgeous.
That their love is timeless.
Yeah, and honestly, that ending sequence saved this movie for me. I didn't hate it. Yeah. Not at all. But, this is going to be a very average movie. And then I saw that, and I'm like, now I understand why people love this. Yeah. Completely understand now. This is top 10 things I've ever seen on camera. It is so impressive. It is so pretty. It tells a story. It's a masterpiece of choreography, of music, of timing, set design, direction, masterpiece sequence. I really wish that was the whole movie, by the way. I really wish we had zero of the rest of the movie and it was just that. But I'm praising the shit. I'll get off of this sequence's jock real quick to just make a point. It's great.
It is. And, watching this movie, Easter eggs, and I kind of see how it inspired other movies. I mean, I even saw how it inspired movies, now, like La La Land.
Oh, God. I think I saw a quote from Damien Chazelle, the director, said, we pillaged the shit out of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
We stole so much from this movie.
Yeah, when he's describing Lise in the beginning, we have those scenes where the stages are really colorful and we have our actors kind of transitioning through, different sequences. And so that's when I was watching this, I'm like, oh, yeah, La La Land took that. Okay, so it's interesting to see that even in this day and age, it's still inspiring people. Yeah. And I'm kind of sad that they took it off the AFI Top 100.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I half see why. I don't know if I agree with it. Because I recently watched Swing Time. Yeah. And Swing Time, I think, is a fine movie. I'm impressed as hell by Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire as people in that, because they're amazing performers in terms of dance and all that stuff. But the rest of the movie's not very good. This, though, it's an enjoyable film. Everything's serviceable. I kind of wish this was on there instead of Swing Time. But granted, I also think there are better Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movies.
Top Hat.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's a great film. The ending sequence and everything put together, it went from okay to great. Yeah. But, I don't know. Singing in the Rain's already on there. I don't know how many Gene Kelly musicals should be on there.
I mean, for me, I feel like I prefer Singing in the Rain more to An American in Paris. I don't know if it's because... I
think everyone does.
Well, that, and I think I've also been watching that a lot longer than I've been watching this, because this is, I think, probably the first time in its entirety that I've seen it.
Actually, that's a good question, because I thought you had seen this movie before, in its entirety.
No, I've seen good chunks of the movie. I just haven't seen it from start to finish. It's okay, I'll see the beginning, and towards the middle, I gotta go do something, or I'll watch it from the middle to, wherever.
This is one of those TCM movies, but TCM during dinner.
Yeah, so it's okay, oh, cool, I got to see the ending. Great, that's what I really wanted to see. But it was nice to see it from start to finish, see their love story and how we hit the highs and the lows. But yeah, I'm more of a Singing in the Rain person. But this one, gorgeous.
So, I got the production reception stuff in here. And this film, when it came out, received solid reviews from the critics. Yeah. They really liked it. Were hugely, hugely happy with the final ballet sequence in the film. Like we are. They said great things. Probably one of the best dance numbers captured on camera up to this point. But they were also pretty savage on a few points in the movie. Namely, how it generally didn't care that it was in Paris. They didn't use Paris as a setting very well. Yeah. Right? We never see the Eiffel Tower. We see Notre Dame in the background of a few things. We never travel in Paris. It's street and hotel.
Yeah, we only see the Eiffel Tower
in the matte paintings.
at the very end when he's on the rooftop at the party.
Yeah.
We see it in the background, but it's so blurry, and it's just like, you know it's there because it's on the painting, but it's like it's not the main focal point.
It starts to feel like this movie could have been placed kind of anywhere.
Yeah.
And they were kind of critical of that. Also, the tendency for the plot to wander away from Jerry to indulge in its own, like, production, where, oh, Jerry, he's this guy who wants to be an artist, and, oh, he's struggling to do it, but we're going to kind of ignore that and the Milo stuff, where it's, you know, the sponsorship to go do this love story, and they're like, well, what about the drama of him trying to achieve his dream?
Yeah.
Where's that? And also the fact that it generally depended on its spectacle rather than the drama inherent to its story. It really tried to just distract you that, hey, the script's not super amazing, but god damn, Gene Kelly can dance though, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, some critics were, iffy about that. But even with the 50-50 reviews that this got at the time of its release, it didn't stop it from winning 6 Oscars, including Best Picture, and pulled in $7 million at the box office against its $3 million budget. This film was a massive success. It was entered in the Library of Congress as being culturally and aesthetically significant, including the AFI Top 100 list in 98, the original list. Got taken off in 2007, but hey, this movie was inspiring, was inspired, and just held up.
It was also the first movie to win Best Picture for a musical and Best Picture at the Golden Globes in the same running. So that was a big thing. It was also another thing where it was the second movie in color after Gone with the Wind to win an Academy Award.
Something else about this movie is people today look back on that Oscar season, because this was 51, and people are kind of like, this probably shouldn't have won Best Picture. Do you want to know why?
What was going on at the time?
Streetcar Named Desire.
Ooh, another good movie.
Yeah. There's a few, like, solid Best Picture choices in there.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, Gene Kelly, American in Paris, it's a great movie. I guess we'll give it to him. And people are like, you're not giving it to Streetcar Named Desire? Not that we're not doing that. It's not happening. All right, I guess.
Yeah. But
that's like the thing. Like, the movie is one of those films where, man, it's so good, and then you think about it against other films, and it's like, this wasn't better. This wasn't the best film of 51. Streetcar was. Or it's like, this isn't the best Gene Kelly, you know, musical. Singing in the Rain is. And it's like one of those things. You look at this movie, and it's so good. It's so great. It's so, like, nice. It's a feel-good, cozy musical. But then when you start comparing it to other things that are like that, then it's, you know, the shine kind of dims. Yeah, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but at the end of the day,
it stands on its own.
It stands on its own because, you know, after you said Streetcar, I had no idea that they came out the same year.
Yeah.
I love Streetcar, and it's just like, they're so two different movies that completely stand on their own. It's like, yeah, you know, it's okay that this one won and this one didn't because they're both influential movies.
Yeah.
That are just, you know, were groundbreaking for the movie industry when they came out. I mean, to the point where even MGM was like, you know what, we're going to spend the money and do this huge ad in Variety. Like, wow, we did it. Weren't expecting it, but we did it.
We're here, boys.
Yeah.
We're making it. Yeah, that's the thing about this movie. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I cannot praise the final ballet sequence enough. It is so good. You should watch it.
I think that final sequence took a month to film.
Doesn't surprise me.
And I think it cost them over like $500,000 for that scene.
Doesn't even surprise me.
No. I mean, there's just so much
good.
going on. I mean, you have Toulouse-Lautrec that's in it. It's interesting to see, you know, you see these pivotal characters in France's history. And then, I mean, to the point that they even jump into one of his sketches.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, we're going from, you know, Jerry's sketch to, you know, real world time in Paris. And then it's very much like a dream sequence where we're just kind of floating around and where are we? What's going on? But it's beautiful all around.
It is. It's a beautiful sequence. The rest of the movie doesn't... The rest of the movie isn't as good, but it's still good. It's still a fine, fun watch. But, it's 50s musicals. If you're into it, you're into it. If you're not, you're not. But the ending sequence, if you're into movies, film, you're gonna love it.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts, final trivia?
Well, Frank Sinatra also referred to the ballet part as the greatest musical number ever put on film. And it's just like...
I think we could find a lot of people saying that about
it's just
this.
like, wow. Because, it's stunning. And I think it was kind of weird that it won a lot of technical Oscars and, like, Best Picture. But Gene Kelly, Leslie Caron, they weren't nominated.
Minnelli didn't even win Best Director.
No, so it was kind of like the actual people that made this movie were kind of like, no, not you guys. We're going to do it for story, because I think they won Best Screenplay, too, that year.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust that.
Yeah, interesting little tidbit there.
But yeah, though, so...
Great movie. Would you recommend it now that you've seen it?
100%. I would recommend this. I would probably recommend this the most out of any of the movies we've seen so far. More Than Giant, this is a shorter watch. It's a lot of fun. It's a lighter movie to watch.
Yeah.
More Than Donnie Darko. I think this movie is old, and I think it's aged much better than Donnie Darko has. And yeah, I would highly recommend it. What about you?
I would too. I loved it, based on the big chunks of it I'd seen over time, but through and through, I think it's a good story. It's a good love story. I'd like to see more of their actual story versus, okay, we're going to pull them apart because he's got to, be this painter and she's got to be, his fiance, and
that's the drama.
And helping him, create his career that he wants to take to America. But through and through, good movie.
But what are we watching next week?
Next week, for Thanksgiving week, we're going to be watching My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh.
So I've never seen it before, and we're kicking it back to anime because you thought I couldn't, make it through anime month, and I
didn't think that at all. I just knew you hated anime.
I just wasn't a fan, and I ended up really liking the movies that we watched, especially the Studio Ghibli movies that we watched, and I'm like, you know what? I want to see My Neighbor Totoro. So that's going to be our special Thanksgiving episode. We're going to be dropping it a day early, so it's going to be coming out Wednesday instead of Thursday this week. So I'm excited.
I am too. I've seen it before. It's a very fun movie. I'm excited to give it a good watch again. But if you wanted to give that a watch, give it a listen, where would you go?
Well, if you want to listen to us on a different platform than you currently are, you can find us on Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and you could also find us on YouTube.
Yes, you can go to our YouTube channel, In the Frame. That's on YouTube, obviously. And there you can find this podcast, the Film Club podcast, as well as the other two podcasts that are on there, the Film Odyssey podcast, where me and my brother go through the AFI 100 looking for the best films ever made.
And I think with that,
see you next week at the Film Club.
Peace.